good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're watching this. Happy time zone, sports fans. Welcome to our continuation of ULTI.TV's coverage of the World Great Grandmasters Beach Ultimate Club Championships. We are here once more on the white sands of Seamus, Sardinia, bringing you action from what has been a very fun day of play so far. Last game of the day is Currier Island up against Borderline from the United States / Canada, but pretty much entirely the United States. Such is the way of COVID regulations, makes crossing borders difficult. And then they're up against the resplendent nation in the resplendent jerseys of Currier Island. Benjamin Rees here with you, and I am thrilled to be joined once more, last game of the day, by my partner in crime this week, Ali Thomas.
Great to be here, Benji. Really great to be here.
Isn't it just? I mean, you know, the sun's kind of beginning to set in the distance. It's still lovely. I mean, it is windy, do not get me wrong. You will see this. I mean, you can see it in the background, and it is windy, but it is a lovely evening, and I don't know if there is anywhere I would rather be than watching some Ultimate on a Sardinian beach.
Especially when it's Currier Island.
There is something a little bit special about Currier Island, and you know, maybe 2021 is Currier Island's year.
Well, we have just been told that because this is not a national championship, this is a club championship, Currier Island are in fact allowed to make the final. So in other national tournaments, they are not allowed to get, I think it's into the upper bracket. Yeah,
so the idea is that they because they kind of magically appear, they rise to the surface to fill gaps in the schedule, then they are not traditionally found on a map. They cannot actually qualify for the top bracket and thus win any silverware or goldware or bronzeware. They have to stay in the lower portions of the tournament. But as we saw them kind of have that pre-game spirit circle, and now they've got their 5 on the line. But because this is a club event and not a national event, they are indeed allowed to make the finals. So they did not win their first game, but maybe if they can iron out some kinks as the day and the week goes on, but who knows? We could be seeing a Currier Island team in the top bracket for the very first time. It is, however, the North Americans, Borderline, who will start on offense. As far as I know, it's just because they're from the US-Canadian border and not because they are big Madonna fans, although I must admit that I have had Borderline in my head playing all day since I found out we were streaming them. Bid comes in there from a Currier Island player, but it doesn't quite get there, and he's on the ground in a little bit of a heap. And is he going to be good to continue? I think it's Chan Wing Leon. And they're just going to have a little bit of a conversation, discussion, perhaps. I think, yeah, they are going to replace him.
Oh dear, I hope he's all right. He was rubbing his knee a little bit as he came up.
Yeah, maybe just a precaution. First point of the game, you don't want to do yourself a real mischief. So Raymond van Dijk comes on to replace. One of the things about Currier Island is because they draw players from all around the world, you have to kind of get your mouth around a whole heap of pronunciations, and it's a fun task for any commentator. Here's Borderline trying to work their way through the teeth of this Currier Island zone. Probably a good idea with the very blustery conditions now here in Seamus. Nice reset. Finds Daniel McConville with the lefty with those white sand socks, just about poking through the white sand. Here's Ed Fox, who he gets a little bit of contact as he comes through. He's we have some stories to tell about Ed Fox as the game goes on, and I'm looking forward very much to Ali enlightening us on those with kind of the depth of pre-game research that she was able to uncover.
Yes, very last-minute game research.
Hey, still counts. Here's McConville. They're trying to force him onto this sideline. Can he break the force off? Lead throw, and Fox goes to ground but can't bring it in. First turnover of the game. Currier Island pick the disc up and then looking to get it back into play quickly. Dishing off towards the far sideline. Here's Den Hart, who is almost an omnipresent figure for every Currier Island team. That's a difficult snag under pressure by Simon Fogel. Downfield is Van Dijk, who came on in that injury replacement. And I must say, this has looked pretty calm, with the exception of that one dicey throw from Currier Island. But no one's really attacking the end zone. They're just happy to work their way around. Thought about the break. Oh, a little shake and bake as well. Beautiful cut. Inch perfect throw. Currier Island, first blood in this game, into the end zone. Just trying to get a little peek of the shirt number to find out who the receiver was who scored. But either way, very good start for Currier Island, getting a turn and then marching it the full length of the pitch for the goal. It is, I think, Manikam Narayan? No, hang on. I practiced before the game.
Narayanan.
That's the one, thank you. I completely lost my head. Yeah, Narayanan.
There's a lot of N's in that name.
Yeah, it was like, okay, go through the game, practice. Okay, I think I've got it. And then as soon as it comes up in a game, your tongue kind of falls out of your mouth. So apologies there. As this one, it was almost a little bit too far. That's really good, actually, because he got his hand wrapped around the far side, so the spin's taking it into the hand as well. Very, very good first point there from Currier Island, I think.
Yeah, their zone. I was very interested to see them almost trapping it on the near sideline, which is, in theory, the easiest sideline to throw from because it's the downwind side. But they were really, not letting any of the options go, marking out the dumps really well, and the borderline having to throw a lot of very short kind of resets and not really moving very much. So, the more passes that you have to make, the higher chance that you're going to make an error.
Especially in these very strong windy conditions, that kicking up a little bit of spray and sand from the surface here in Sardinia. As that ball, you can see the wind there just tails it off out the far sideline. I think maybe one of the reasons they're trying to get force them on this near sideline is that if you then do get the turnover, it's a lot easier to play offense when you're on the nice wind side rather than you're already fighting it just to keep it in the pitch.
That's very true. That's very true.
So they are going to take the brick mark. Good decision, I think. Not that there was necessarily any doubt. It's Henry Furland who is going to stride up. It's got that kind of calf sleeve that seems to be seem to be very prominent in masters and grandmasters and great grandmasters. Just getting that extra compression necessary. Something that I should start looking into, to be honest.
Me too, to be honest.
Here's Bedard. He finds Furland. You mentioned it, though, using those short passes, just popping it around the handlers. And again, it's not expansive, but they are happy to kind of piecemeal their way down the field so far.
Just a little bit of bumping on the mark there, but all seems to be sorted out pretty amicably.
So this gets checked in by the Islanders, and there's going to be a stoppage.
I think a violation call, somebody not in the right place or perhaps moving before the disc was called in.
Yeah, it's good to see that they are still eager and still keen. Last game of the day here, although both teams, the way the schedule works is each team has a morning game and then an afternoon/evening game. So 2 games a day, you get a nice break in between. So it's a pretty forgiving schedule, which is excellent because, as we mentioned, especially during the heat, when the sun's at its highest point, it really does get hot out there and the sand really heats up. So just, it's one of those nice things that is in a slightly smaller tournament, you've got the time and the space. And time and space there for, I know, right? I know.
Where does he get these segues?
It's unfortunately too much practice and too much time and not enough stuff to do at home. But brilliant pass there from Fox into the front of the end zone. Comfortable goal for borderline. The first point, they looked like they had, it was nice, but they couldn't quite find it at the end. And that time, just comfortable and, looked pretty competent is a bit underselling it. They look very comfortable, is what I meant to say.
Yes, definitely. And I think having had a point to practice against Currier's zone, they're kind of a bit more wise to its tricks. But that's, they're really good at finding the space and lots of nice flat discs, nothing kind of wobbling or getting exposed to the wind.
It's Ed Fox on the assist for the goal, and we mentioned that we have some stories to tell about him.
Let me dig into my bag of fun facts. So he's 59 now. One of the oldest players on the team, I believe. He was also the oldest player, oldest person to ever play in the AUDL, the American Ultimate Disc League, at 57 for the Detroit Mechanics back in 2019.
I mean, that is a hell of a shift.
It really is.
And I appreciate that the Detroit Mechanics are not necessarily... I don't know who the good team in the AUDL is at the moment. I must admit that I don't...
I believe they're near the bottom.
Yeah, but
still.
They're not necessarily a... New York Empire were good for a bit, right? Yeah, they're not necessarily... But, the fact is you're still making a pro roster at that age with athletes from all ages. You've clearly, got to have the athletic ability and, the throwing. You've got to be an all-round package to make a pro roster. It's looking a little bit static there, it has to be said, from Currier Island. They need to do a better job of finding and opening the spaces. Blading forehand just dies at the last moment. Denhart tries to come back towards it and scoop it off the sand. Can't do so, rocking those very fetching Currier Island leggings that we are very envious of.
Incredibly.
If anyone in the YouTube chat has a hookup for some of those, we are all ears.
Yeah, please let us know. Oh, that is unfortunate.
It just kind of popped up a little bit and skipped through the hands. And hey, in these conditions, the wind is going to bobble the disc up and down a little bit there.
Yeah.
And it's where if you've got the time, the clap catch is quite nice because you give yourself a bit more margin for error, I think.
That's true, but it almost looked like he clap catched just a second too early and it kind of bounced off his fingers. But honestly, with the wind as it is, some of these discs come at you a lot faster than you think they're going to.
Yeah, you're right. It's not necessarily about the positioning. It's about the speed where it come out at you faster. It will hold up a little bit more. And you mentioned clapping it too early or too late. It's beautiful throw over the top.
Just a little skip at the end there as he caught the disc. Like to see that.
And Narayanan gets his second and Currier Island's second goal of the game to give them a 2-1 advantage.
100% of the goals for the team for Narayanan.
It's not a bad stat to have, really, is it?
No. See how far he can keep it up.
I mean, if he scored all of their points, certainly I think he would be due a beverage of some sort after the game.
Some kind of beverage, yes.
One of the other great things about this tournament, credit to the to Ichnos Flying Disc, who are the kind of the host club. And you were telling me that Ichnos is the Sardinian name for Sardinia.
Yes, in the Sardinian language, Ichnos, yeah.
And which I was surprised that it was the Sardinian language, was not just Italian, but there is an old school Sardinian language.
Yeah, but its closest relative is Latin, like the Romans spoke, and it's very. There are some areas in Sardinia where it's still spoken as a primary language, kind of in the more rural areas.
Interesting.
Yeah, kind of like Welsh, I guess.
I was going to say like Welsh. But not actually like Welsh, because if you try to read Welsh, love it, but it's a bit incomprehensible.
It's just a different alphabet. It'd be like trying to read Russian without knowing the Russian alphabet. You're not gonna get very far.
And now borderline. Oh, that is absolutely filthy. What a throw that is! Using that voluptuous inside-out shape to just sit it on the wind. That is a throw and a half from Ed Fox. And, Eric Bedard, he still has to make the catch. It hung for a little bit at the end and the defender got close. But that is not fighting against the wind, but utilising what the wind is giving you there.
Time for the second fun fact about Ed Fox, which is that he is a stand-up comedian. I have no knowledge of when you might be able to see him. I suspect probably only in America. But when he's not playing Frisbee, he is tearing it up on the stage in a different way.
And in the meantime, you can watch him here on ULTI.TV's YouTube channel. Ed Fox's second assist of the game as well. So another good stat for him there as well. We've seen that, we mentioned that teams have varying roster sizes. The minimum player requirement is 10 players rostered. You're allowed up to 20. Currier Island have brought 17 players with them. Borderline have brought 10, but they're not playing 10 players.
No, they're not. I've heard something about potentially an injury. Might have been earlier in the day, I'm not sure, but I really do not envy them having to play, a 4 or 5 day beach tournament with 9 people. Especially,
as we mentioned, when the weather can be tricky to navigate, both in the wind and in terms of the heat. It's very easy to get dehydrated, and even if you're injured, sometimes you think, I'm injured, I don't know if I can face watching Ultimate when I'm not playing. And sometimes you think, well, I'm going to a beach in Sardinia, I can probably suck it up. As that one is overthrown, looking for Denhart in the deep space.
Yeah, I think he knew he didn't have the legs for that, so just gave up a bit early. I think sensible to try and conserve your energy at this point in the day.
I don't know, I'd argue in those tights, he absolutely has the legs for it. Can you tell that I'm trying to snag myself back?
It just sounds like you're trying to
chat him up.
Absolutely. Who wouldn't in those tights?
Right. He's been a fixture on the European scene for many years. Volunteered with the EUF for probably the best part of a decade as well, and now he's taking a load off with his beloved nation of Currier Island.
Beloved by all, I hope, in the Ultimate community.
It's just. We will elaborate more on Currier Island later. It's a very ultimate thing, isn't it?
Yes.
That one, you can tell that he's kind of, he's leaning back, he doesn't have the balance set, and maybe on a high stall it's we'll just get it out and we'll get some yardage with it, because the wind took that very early and it only had one destination with it in mind, and it was the lagoon you can see in the distance.
Yeah, I was slightly worried that it might end up in the lagoon, but it is actually a bit further away than it appears. Gosh, I've lost count of the turns at this point now. It's been several.
Nice little sneaky upline cut there. Finds Fogel. Fogel's looking for Denhart deep again. He likes it that they're showing the faith in him, but couldn't get him target. But they did get it back in bounds, so that is going to get them some field position. Ed Fox picks up. He finds McConville. McConville's looking deep again. That one's too high for the receiver. Bronson put a bid in, but it was probably always too high for him in the end. And Currier maybe think about picking up the pace, but they said they're going to slow it down a little bit. Strong motion of, oi, get me some help back.
Yeah.
And now they're moving in, I mean, perfect form with the layout.
Yes.
Just bounced off the hands, unfortunately, from a Currier Island perspective. Fox wanting to ping it deep, and another good effort, but again, can't quite go to hand. It's Frank Phillips, the player that time, who finds himself on the floor.
It is just so windy. I mean, you can probably see the flags in the background really bending over with how windy it is. You know, any throw that isn't really perfect is going to struggle to find its mark.
Yeah, those they are Eurodisc flags in the background, and you may have noticed that we are playing with, rather than a traditional right one, we are playing with a pink Eurodisc, because that one goes over the head and it's going to give them a tantalisingly short field if they can pop it in. Oh, it's a little hop, skip and the jump, and it's Fox who, rather than assisting, still works his way onto the stat sheet, this time with a jump into the end zone for Borderline's first break of the game, and we're now back on serve with the North Americans up 3-2.
Yeah, long kind of slogging point there and lots of turns, so kudos to the Borderline team for managing to kind of keep their heads and keep their eyes on the prize, as it were.
Well, you're seeing now why teams are tending to force towards the far sideline, because it means when you're trying to square up and then break the force, you're throwing it directly into the face of the wind, and that time the wind was so happy to pop it up. Mm-hmm. Talking like if the wind has, you know, it has a brain, and it looks and it's like, ah, yes.
Well, we were discussing how sand is basically sentient at this point, so why not the wind as well?
Honestly, it gets everywhere. Like, I have stuff that I've not taken to the beach yet, and I guarantee when I put it on in the next couple of days, or we're going from here straight to Bruges afterwards, we'll tell you more about that a little bit later, and I guarantee sand will be coming out of every pore when I get there as well.
Oof, that's not a nice mental image.
Like, maybe not every pore, but pores in places where I did not necessarily know that I had them.
Yeah, there we go.
If you know what, yes. It could be a bit of a menace, but obviously playing on the beach has some benefits as well. Namely, you're on a beach. I mean,
the disc just hitting one of the tournament TD tents there. Almost hit the scoreboard. It
is one of the best tournament TD tents I've ever seen, because it is one, the tournament, the TD desk, and B, a bar.
One and B. B for bar.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, we're on the same wavelength there. I mean, that's it. Talk about, you know, multi-purpose, multitasking, that sort of thing. You know, I think they appreciate that while they're here to play Ultimate, it also is a great opportunity to have to take a little bit of a load off after what's been a stressful couple of years. And why not do that with a beer or two, as they're looking deep and, oh, he macked it on, and in this wind that's always dangerous, but got enough of a touch so that even with the tip, it hit the sand. Very nearly said that. Hit the sand, and his blushes were somewhat spared. And to be fair, I think he tried to get tans around it, but it was always going to be a difficult one to properly deal with.
Incredible, like, full stretch there. But really good form on the layouts from Borderline we've seen so far.
So McConville takes the little dish off and now powers up the line, and he's got the disc in the power position in the lefty. Didn't see the timing there for the huck downfield. So they work with that under space. It's Trevathan. Go back and they're trying to swing it around. Back into the paws of McConville. Underneath, what a bid comes flying through. Was there a little bit of contact perhaps? Is going to be a discussion here between Quesada and Bedard.
Just went for the high five, but I think it was more of a hand up and a hang on.
I mean, that's a good idea. When someone puts the hand up for the foul, just run past and be like, yeah, it was great, off we go. And actually they are going to, if there was a call, it's been retracted. turnover stance, low throw, and it was difficult to deal with for Van Dijk. And, well, just another case of the butterfingers, or olive oil fingers, I guess, probably in Italy. Have I used that one already today? I feel I might have used olive oil already today.
Yeah, but on the disc, so as opposed to the fingers, so I think you're good.
Well, it's got to get there somehow. Oh, that one is a little bit behind again, trying to get that backhand leading to the forehand side. McConville into the end zone. Player goes to the ground, but couldn't quite reel it in.
Lots of quick turns so far, and maybe not always the best decision, as a lot of the Currier players having to run past the handler. I
mean, that's the thing, they've got the disc in so quickly, but then the deepest player has it, and they're waiting for players to kind of get back into position. As I think a hand block
very
there.
Understated, undramatic hand block.
Stuffs Babakanian. There's the around if they want it. Instead they're going towards the far sideline. Oh, that was weird. He had it, and then he just, maybe the hands just slid over the disc a little bit.
Disc is sentient now. The sentience is spreading.
Uh-oh. This is dangerous. So, you know, full credit for trying to get it back, but it was so weird. It really seemed like it was under control, and then it just wasn't. As they looked deep, not quite, couldn't milk it all the way into the end zone. Currier. And now he wants the reset off. The force comes all the way around, trying to squeeze it into the end zone under tight pressure.
And that's a foul call being signalled by Zimmerman.
Both players just taking a little bit of time to just stay on their knees and discuss this. We don't need to get up quite yet. We can just take our time a little bit. Ooh.
Looks like it's going to be contested, potentially. Yeah, being sent back. Still maybe a bit of discussion perhaps about the stall and positioning.
So we are waiting for the disc to be checked back in as our players from both Currier Island and Borderline. And Currier Island doing the sensible, if slightly boring thing of just resetting it and getting back into position. Low leading throw, just about sticks into the grasp of Currier Island. And that is their third point of the game. They tie it up. We are still on serve, knotted up at 3 apiece as David Quesada catches the goal.
What we've seen so far in a lot of games on this pitch is it's quite tight for the first few points, bit of trading, maybe a break, then a break back, and then one team tends to kind of pull away. So I wonder if the same thing's going to happen here. One team's going to kind of kick it up another gear and start kind of rolling through, or if we're going to, hopefully, it's the option I'd prefer, is have a tight race all the way to the finish.
Yeah, I think the deciding factor in this game might be how these teams can deal with the conditions. You know, can you put the extra bit of spin on those throws? Can you work with the wind rather than fight against it? Can you avoid the sand blowing into your eyes at the worst times, which it will find a way to do somehow?
I think, yeah, it is 3-all. Good. Wasn't seeing things.
If you have seen things, you've seen them the same way we have here. 3-all the current score as that ball lands at the feet of Fox. Trying to get the disc in play quickly. Just a little bit of a pump fake there, and Fox sits in a little pocket of space on this near side. Currier Island coming back in a zone, and a little crash through from the handlers. Low throw, scooped off the sand by Frank Phillips. Say off, scooped above the sand really. Here's Bedard looking for a flick deep. What a throw. Visionary. There wasn't a huge window down this near sideline, but it was pinpoint precision once more into the hands of Trevathan, and it's 4-3 to Borderline.
Den Hart slapping the sand as he's in frustration with himself at not being able to get there fast enough to get the D.
It's always tricky because obviously it's a deep. The one thing you don't want to do is get someone in behind you, and it's, you're weighing up, assessing the angles. You think you've got to play at it. You think, okay, if this throw's not right on the money, then we're in here. And unfortunately for Den Hart, maybe he's thinking, could he have laid it? But I think he was always half a second too late, and that's the frustration because it required a money throw, and well, you can take that one to the bank.
Someone just absolutely lost a water bottle at him as well. That seemed very aggressive.
I think just, yeah, probably not with any malicious intent.
No.
But it just seemed to have have a decent amount of speed behind
A
it.
bit of an edge on it.
And staying hydrated here is important because, as we mentioned, it is hot, it is dusty, it's a little bit humid as well, so quite difficult conditions. It's important to keep those fluids up because, yeah, dehydration is no joke in heat like this.
They should, some tournaments I've been to have a little colour swatch on the toilet doors, so you can look at the colour of what's in the bowl and assess how much water you need to drink.
Interesting.
Yeah, in Australia they had the kind of pale colour, which was fine, keep hydrating as normal, right down to drink an entire bottle of water right now.
Chug, chug, chug.
Exactly, like you're at airport security.
Oh yeah, I did. To be fair, honestly, I will fess up. I did have to down half of my bottle for it to get through security, and then I promptly left my bottle at a cafe in Olbia.
Oh no.
Sad times. Currier Island, that's a lovely lead pass, and they're just outside the end zone on the precipice of the goal line. But they have to go backwards, and a nice snag there is made to bring it in by, I think that's Hanushek.
Oh, fakes the IO.
Yeah, big, expressive, purposeful fake, and that convinced the mark that it was going to go, and that one bounces off the hands of Martin Green.
Yeah, again, we're going to keep saying this, the wind just makes every catch and every throw that much harder.
And we're seeing it there, a spectacular bid from Frank Phillips that maybe deserved possession, but we have seen a lot worse catches than that stick. And, you know, that's one of the better catches that unfortunately did not. That's the way it goes sometimes.
Too true.
As this one, oh, this is dangerous. It's popped up and visionary. Absolutely visionary, because it got the defender committing. That's always what they wanted.
Yanked out of the sky.
I mean, he pulled it down with some force. Which is weird, because at first he looked a bit like frustrated, like, oh no, this is dangerous. And then he was like, actually, I've got this, it's fine.
It's always a nice feeling. Oh no.
Just tried to squeeze that one down the sideline, but Fox was right there, and he almost couldn't believe that they just fell into his lap. And now Fox opens up the arm. Oh, what a deep put. Could have maybe tried to milk it all the way into the end zone, but thinking rather than backpedaling, make the catch first and get the score second. Little IO to lead it into space, not in the end zone, and then the pop pass from Frank Phillips finds Martin, and that will be another break for Borderline, their first 2-point lead of the game at 5-3.
And the hockey assist was from John Chiri there, which was a push pass, which incredible to see anywhere, to be honest, as a hockey assist, but especially on beach in these conditions. It's a choice.
Oh, I mean, I love it, you know. They've been probably throwing for long enough. Why not bust out something a little bit cheeky? Maybe incredibly windy conditions is not the option for the push pass, but having said that, it worked pretty well to me.
I want to see some old school throws, maybe a traditional flick or two, or some chicken wings maybe.
Mate, thumber.
Yeah,
Thumber.
absolutely.
Anyone does I've said this before. Anyone thumbers, I will buy them. I will go over to the TD desk and buy them a beverage of choice.
All right, spread the word. Those watching, tell your team members if you throw a thumber. Is this for a score or just in general, Benji?
I would say it has to be completed.
Okay, a completed thumber. Benji will buy you some kind of beverage of your choice from the TD
They
desk.
even do espresso over there.
There we go.
I didn't see the espresso machine, but I've been told that it is there. Certainly it was on their little menu. Including there were soft drinks, and as well as beer, also special beer, which I think is like non filtrate would be in Italian, right?
Yeah, it's the Ignusa, it's the Sardinian beer, where we've seen a lot of bottles of that at this tournament.
That one pops up, and once more it's Borderline underneath it, snaffling it away from Currier Island, and they pounce before the defense can get set, just playing it in front, popping it into the end zone. And now, you mentioned earlier, sometimes these close games, they stay close all the way through. Sometimes the team's able to pull away a little bit, as Borderline are doing now for 6-3. But we've seen that Currier Island can have it all good, so certainly there is the potential perhaps to bring this back.
Yeah, definitely. And what I'm really liking to see right now is that pretty much everyone on the Currier Island team on the sideline has a big smile on their face. So, they're a few points down, but, they're still remaining positive and, still very much in it.
I mean, Currier Island are a team that are very much associated with good vibes.
Yes.
I think frequent spirit winners at various beach championships in the past, and this time they're hoping to add a achievement for their I say on-pitch ability. Spirit is very much an on-pitch ability. For their, I mean, they just want to win the tournament. Like,
there we go.
I tried to think of a better way of phrasing, and I'm like, they can win it for a change. Which, you know, it's if that isn't a prize at the light at the end of the tunnel, whatever was at the end of the yellow brick road, ruby slippers. I've not seen it.
The Emerald City.
There we go. It's the Emerald City at the end of it, not Seattle. Never mind. I've dug myself into a hole here.
Well, you've picked the right surface for it.
Right. It's like, if you've ever been to Paganello, the tie-break rules, they go through like head-to-head, goals scored, whatever. And the very last one is, start digging, first person to hit water wins.
There we go.
Yeah, I actually don't know what if there is an unbreakable tie rule at this tournament, what the rule is. But I hope
Fight to the death.
I hope it's something more exciting. I hope it's not that. But I hope it's something more exciting than just flip a disc.
Yeah, that's generally a bit meh.
Sock wrestling, maybe? I don't know.
We'll have to ask the TDs for tomorrow.
That is some pull by Borderline, because it's
yeah.
penned them right into the end zone. And this is very much Callahan country for the Americans. But credit to Currier Island, because they did not look phased by the fact that they were starting deep. You like that every player kind of came back to help. They didn't leave them stranded. And they're utilising those little pops through to the handlers. And they've worked their way pretty much to level with their own brick mark, and now beyond halfway. Lovely lead throw into space. Thought about getting all the milk out of that one, did Quesada. Doesn't find it. The little pop off into the end zone for the goal. It is Fred Rideau with the catch, and that puts Currier Island behind 6-4.
There we go. Yeah, as you said, coming back, a lot of the players coming back to help with that really deep pull, but not crowding the space, which is something which is very difficult to do, as everyone can get a bit panicky when the disc is that deep in the end zone. But no, really calm under pressure, Currier Island, and really lovely point. Yeah,
the mental strength, you know, to not be would be like, oh no, we're right in our end zone. This is dangerous. This is very dangerous. I just think, well, it's just a place on the pitch. We can just work it as we would slightly further up the pitch. And if anything, we've got more deep space to work with. So actually, it was a good thing that they pinned us in deep.
Look on the bright side in every situation.
Exactly. And the bright side at the moment is what, top left of your picture as you see it? That's where the sun is kind of beginning to set into the distance. I'm trying to not look directly in it. It's a struggle because the Mediterranean Sea ate my sunglasses. Not had a great week off the pitch. That's not true, actually. I've loved it. But my inventory has taken a little bit of a battering. At least it'll be easy to get through security. I'll have less stuff.
There we go. That's another benefit of this pink Eurodisc is it's not going to, well, in theory, it's not going to reflect the sun's glare as much.
And especially on the white sand, it's perhaps a little bit easier to pick up than the white disc is as well. So just popping it through, they're trying to find those spaces through the teeth of it, and then McConville puts it towards the far side, goes down to ground, an excellent catch. I think that is Turbo who turns on the Jets. John Turi goes to his knees to make the catch. That'll be 7-4. I think that would be half-time. We're not really going to see the teams change ends because, as it is, Borderline received the pull in the left-hand zone to start with, and that means they're pulling from the right-hand zone to begin the second half, so it's almost like half-time never happened, especially because there is not a break. But trust me when we say that it would have happened.
We're not having you on. It is actually half-time.
We're seeing again from McConville. That time the defender's on the open side, so it just sitting it onto the break side, and Turi gets one hand underneath it. Strong clap catch. It's always tricky as well because sometimes when you land, you jar it loose, but he's gone. His knees have hit the floor first. And that means that the arms aren't kind of taking the brunt of the impact a little bit.
They don't call him Turbo for nothing.
Yes, he did. You know, he had a good turn of speed there.
Yeah, it's always incredible to me just seeing how fast people can move on sand.
That right. Something I was told by a player of some wiseness was the best way. Wisdom. Jesus, Benji. Is that the best way of running on sand is to don't touch the sand. Which was like, what? But the idea is, you know, you want to kind of, you don't want to bog down into the sand, you know, like quite long strides rather than kind of really chopping it up. Try and make it, you know, try and be light on your feet. Having big feet can help as well because you're kind of spreading it a little bit as opposed to the bounce, if you've got smaller feet, you're kind of more pressure digging into the sand a little bit.
Yeah, sort of skimming over the surface.
Yes, exactly. Like, it sounded funny, but I didn't know what they meant. That one is low from Currier Island, and a shaky start to this second half. Furland picks up quickly. He finds Bronson. Bronson with a continuation into the end zone. And I have to say that it's looking pretty good now for Borderline. They've really opened up a bit of an advantage. 4 points their lead now, 8-4, and that's a big break at the start of the second half here to maybe just begin to close the door on Currier Island.
Yeah, Den Haag just standing stationary in the middle of the pitch, perhaps thinking what could be going on.
So just seeing again here on the replay, just the turn, a little bit of a missed throw, and they're playing it quickly, and it just 1-2 passes. They were so switched on after the turn, and because, you know, playing against the zone, perhaps you've got more players downfield to try and space out, take advantage of any numerical mismatches. It means that on the turn, they can strike quickly before the defense has a chance to set, and that puts Borderline up 8-4, I think I make the score.
Possibly 9-4.
Yes,
Or 8-4.
We will double check that.
Speaking of striking, if you could do that to the like button on this video.
Oh, hello, there we go.
Give it a strike, give the bell a ring, subscribe, comment, engage with the video, and that helps us bring Ultimate to more people for free.
It's nice to see not people smash that like button. Strike it while the iron is hot. And they try and strike deep and just off the fingertips of Fred Friedel. He's been a good goal scorer for this Currier Island team in this game. And that one, I thought it was going to nestle in there, but just seemed to sneak through the clutches.
I feel like that's still one for a highlight reel. That was such a layout.
It's a spectacular effort nonetheless.
Heartbreak.
Again, one of those things that you feel maybe it deserves a bit more, but the Frisbee and the elements do not care what you deserve.
Frisbee don't care.
It's like, it's the one step up from Discs Don't Lie is Discs Don't Care.
Just don't care. Talk to the face. No, sorry, talk to the hand, because the disc ain't bothered.
Slightly fluttery throw from McConville, but it finds its target, and now they've got Phillips in the midfield, looking for Furland running through. The disc was rising, but he was able to rise with it, and they're sneaking it through. Bedard, rather than try and jam it in the middle, or jam it down the sideline, pivots into the middle of the pitch, and again, utilising those lead throws to space, getting receivers running onto the disc, and it's Phillips who makes the catch, gets a high five from his teammate, and Borderline are now indeed up 9-4.
The throws from Borderline, especially in this wind, I think they have adapted just maybe slightly faster. Their throws are slightly sharper, slightly more accurate. I wouldn't call either team necessarily, you know, ahead of the other in terms of athleticism. They're both, you know, getting free, getting open, deep and under. But I think Currier Island just having those, you know, those few bobbles, those few missed catches that are giving Borderline the edge here.
There was a little bit of the no disc fake there almost, because as he turned to pivot inwards, he just took it into his left hand for a little bit and just left the right hand out there for a split second to just get the defender being, oh, where have we? And then, yeah, so a little bit of veteran savvy, I think they call that.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Among many other things.
Wiliness.
I was going to say, I haven't called anyone wily yet, but this is a long week, and I'm sure that I will. And if I don't, I'm sure you will as well.
I just have, I think.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. But that will not be the first, and it will not be, no, that will, well, it certainly won't be the last, at any rate. Narayanan finds an option in the centre, now it's popped to Den Haag. Chan has it. Looks to pivot around to the reset. Ball falling over to the knees, but Filimonenko makes the catch.
Without standing up, getting the throw off.
Yeah, don't even need to. Conservation of movement. And then the shot deep for Win Leung Chang is exactly where it needs to be, and Currier Island stop the slide. That is 9-5 now, Borderline lead.
See, and this sounds stupid, but when they don't drop the disc, they score.
I mean, but I know what you mean. Like, sometimes they've been their own worst enemy in that they put throws a little bit too far out in front, or they've put them where it needs to be and it hasn't quite gone to hand somehow. But we've seen that they can do it, and they can be efficient on offense. As Filimonenko just about got low and got the. What you do like is that even though on the knees, still got the chest relatively behind it, so
Yeah.
it gives yourself a little bit of a backboard almost, and then just a little bit of a hop into the end zone from Chan to make sure that the score counts and there does not need to be any extra passes than were necessary. Now, I know that there is a player on this team on the Currier Island team who is Russian and is married to someone on the Swedish team, the Great Swedes. And they have brought not only themselves, they've brought their 3 children along as well, which is one of the great things about kind of Masters tournaments, is that you do see families turn up. And I wonder if that might be Maria Filimonenko. It sounds like a very Russian name to me.
It certainly does, doesn't it?
But
I would put money on that.
Yeah, but I would, yeah. I'd say it's maybe likely, but not certain. As hello, Milan's arrived with some beers. That's a nice surprise. Good to see that he's drinking in the atmosphere as well as some of Sardinian's produce as well.
Making sure we're hydrating.
Yeah, very important. Absolutely. Yeah, last game of the day. Can't let those hydration levels drop off. Trying to cram it down the sideline, and I mean that had some sting on it, and it was a really good catch actually because it came at quite a pace.
Successful cram.
Absolutely, crammed in the cram hole as opposed to jammed in the. I guess they're much of a muchness, aren't they?
I imagine there's a technical difference. I'd have to think for a little bit about what the difference would be.
It's Hanushek on the throw, just trying to get eyes on the receiver. As he throws it into the end zone, will have an assist to his name as well. It's Van Dijk who made the catch in the end. One thing I will say about the Currier Island shorts is that the shirt number is not massively visible, but I think that's Eric Tuton with the goal, with the assist, I should say.
I was looking at the 17 for Borderline, whose name is Dick Dorf.
It's great.
It's not him.
It's a great name though, isn't it?
It is an excellent name.
Like it's something that certainly in a younger like young people don't tend to go by the name Dick anymore, because they get laughed out of it. But I think there is a certain confidence in just owning it. I like it.
My grandfather was called Dick.
I'm thinking. I know they're not this old, but thinking about like Mad Men. Oh, that's maybe spoilery, but Dick Whitman and like actually, I've got an uncle Richard who is affectionately known as Dick.
That's better than unaffectionately.
Oh yeah.
So a break for Currier Island. Down but not out by any means.
This is the thing. We saw them hang tough at the start, so clearly they've got some abilities. They're going with a slightly rolly pull, seeing if they can field it effectively, and, well, not quite. And they have to go back into their own end zone. It's always tricky when it's kind of skipping off the sand, and it can take those uneven bounces.
Some nice break throws from Borderline here.
Here's Fox looking for a lead shot to the end zone, and it just kept rising. Didn't sink quickly enough for Bronson to reel it in.
Yeah, roll curving the wrong way. Wind was very happy to just take that and run with it, basically.
Fox looks a little bit glum, perhaps.
He should just think of the goats and donkeys
I was
that he owns.
thinking, yeah. Could say his face was a little bit Eeyore-esque almost. Just like, oh. Because you could see what he was aiming for, and it looked for a moment like it was gonna come off, but in the end the wind just kept pushing it out of the back.
Yeah, even just a
Den Hart, this is asking a lot of the receiver. Throws it inbounds on the sideline, and again very tight to this sideline, trying to squeeze it up there. Den Hart makes the catch, turns and pivots infield. Cutter takes off. Well, he's out of the pitch there. He's just trying to get clear. Then he gets himself back in bounds as the upline goes to Quesada.
Perfectly fine to run out of the pitch as long as you don't jump from out to in when you catch.
And now down the sideline, they're trying to keep it inbounds at the back of the end zone. The catch is made. Is he in bounds? That is the question. It's Jan Hanushek. And I think then they're going to see that he wasn't quite able to keep himself in bounds. We'll get a look at it on the replay. And it was just all down this fourth side. Sorry, Ali.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of the play has been down this near sideline. Let's see if we can see his feet in the replay.
And
yeah, unfortunately, looks like his. Oh, okay. Well, there's some descent, but
the question is whether or not the back foot had fully left the sand, because the next foot afterwards was out of bounds. The question is, did he keep that foot down for long enough to secure the catch and get complete control of the disc? It's a tight one, but called out, and he did not disagree, gave it up.
So the rules for this tournament are: if you drag your foot on the line, it is in. But if you jump and land and your toes are visible on the underside, on the other side rather, it is out.
No doubt about that one though. Bronson gets the end of the action for the goal. So 10-6 that becomes to borderline.
And only a few minutes left here. Soft cap is in 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, 45-minute games here in 90-minute slots, although actually...
Could we please always have 3 people over there, please?
Although actually I was going to say that just a little bit of some remonstrating on the sideline, trying to make sure that they're split so they've got help on both sides. Is that, yeah, in 90-minute slots, not that we need it in the last game of the day anyway, but it means that you've got plenty of time perhaps for a cap, and you've got time to to drink in the surroundings in between each game.
Yeah, there's perhaps a little bit of tiredness and frustration seeping in there.
Yeah, I mean, you see the point in that it's good to split the sideline because you get that help from both sides of the field. You know, maybe you see something differently from a different angle. And you can provide a little bit more help, as opposed to, it's easy to filter out the voices rather than everyone coming at you from the same place as well.
Oh, very true. And also, you know, if there's a call, it's nice to have players from both teams, so you don't necessarily have just one perspective. Of course, in theory, everyone should be giving an unbiased perspective, but in practice, that's not always possible.
I mean, the thing is, even if you try and be unbiased, sometimes, you know, your judgment is not always correct. So here we go. That one is low. Good snag, actually, by Van Dijk. So we can get into the centre for Rito.
Oh, fakes the big shot.
Instead, it's going to be a bit more conservative. Look underneath for Babakanian. And now Van Dijk turns, blade out into space. Just too far. Oh, it would have been another spectacular point. This is the thing, you feel for a lot of these throws for Currier Island, they're not far off, but they're just not quite sticking it.
They're really trying to set each other up for greatness and for highlight reel moments. But I feel like their best points have been when they've been playing slightly more conservatively.
Yeah, it might be more successful, but it's probably a lot less fun.
That's fair. That is absolutely fair.
Thank you to everyone who is following us and watching on the YouTube channel. You can find us, all the games this week are for free on ULTI.TV's YouTube channel, as Bronson tried to pick it up before it went all the way deep but couldn't get it in the end. Thanks to everyone who supports us on our Patreon page as well.
A special shout out to Eric van der Speck, who is editing their pledge. Thank you so much for your support.
It means a lot, as that one was tipped off, and that's why you got to catch your Ds, because if you don't, it can go right into the receiver's path. Here's Zimmerman. That one sneaks it past Turi, and now trying to take advantage of the defender on the floor, pinches it from this teammate. Should have showed him the disc as well, just to make it, just to let him know, I got it, no. But that's a nice little confidence boost of that one for the Currier Island. Wasn't the most beautiful of points, perhaps. A little bit speculative, but it means, you know, it's a nice little confidence booster, certainly, and a little bit of, just can see a good spirit all round. Get those smiles back on the Currier Island faces. Yeah,
I especially love the extended just lay down on the floor from the player who didn't quite get the goal. Just a kind of, I was here.
But this is good, because the force is on the floor, and that means that it's a lot easier throw, and he actually does well to back out of it, doesn't he? Because otherwise that could have been a really nasty knee to the head. Yeah. And then you can see he's got the letterbox there, like, please, I was so free. Why do you do this to me?
So I've been told never to lay out on the force ever, because the risk is so high and the reward is. If you
think a layout point block on stream is not worth the risk.
Well,
but I do get what you mean. It might not necessarily help. It is a low percentage play.
Yeah, if it's like stall 8, 7 or 8 maybe, but you know, if it's 2 or 3 and you're near the end zone.
Also, the last thing you want is a disc in the face at close range.
Oof, yes.
Yeah.
And especially, you know, here, sand, trying to put the force on with sand in your eye is not going to go well.
Yeah, there was a discussion, there was something brought up in the captain's meeting beforehand about whether foot blocks would be allowed, because sometimes they can be outlawed at beach tournaments because it can kick up sand into people's faces. But on the counterpoint, foot blocks are cool and they're allowed. They are cool, I'm sorry. Anyone who disagrees with me is just wrong.
No, I absolutely do agree with you. I'm just personally not a fan, because having a disc wanged into your foot at close range can be very painful, especially if you're not wearing shoes.
Just get harder feet.
Harder feet.
Hey, look, if you disagree with me, become a patron, and then you're allowed to.
Let me take off my feet and put on some put on some harder feet.
Yeah, thanks. That's why you just put a little bit of padding in the sand socks. Easy. Fox down the line. In stride. Beautiful point from borderline. Bedard into the end zone.
And I think that's going to be game to 12 now. With the soft cap having gone in the previous point.
In that point or in the point?
Oh, looks like there's a discussion, because I don't know if that point was 2 minutes long.
I mean, there's no game on afterwards, so they can keep playing if they want to.
More frisbee.
More frisbee.
Oh, no, okay.
I think in the end they've decided that is indeed game, and that will mean that it is a victory here for Borderline. Their first of the day after they went down in agonising fashion to the great Swedes earlier. They were 10-8 up and then just couldn't quite close it down and went down 11-10. And now onto the win sheet. 1-on-1 for the weekend with this victory here over Currier Island, who dropped to 0-2, but still 3 games left in the pool for them. I can do maths. So, they are certainly not out of that top 8 bracket just yet. The tournament format. Top 4 in each pool go to quarter semis-finals, and then 9 to 12 play a 4-team round robin, so 3 more games for everyone, regardless of where you finish in the pool. And so, it means that if day 1 doesn't quite go your way, you can definitely still fight your way into that top bracket.
Oh, yeah. And with only 2 games per day, you've got plenty of time to kind of rest, recuperate, stretch tired legs. And
yeah, just get some electrolytes on board.
Yes. Gotta love the electrolytes.
And I think we are about to do the same here. Thank you very much for watching today's coverage of the World Great Grandmasters Beach Ultimate Club Championships. We're just going through the highlights of the game here as well. If you enjoy what we do, we've mentioned it before, anything you can do to support us does help, whether that be interacting with us, getting involved in the socials. You can find us on Instagram, for example, at ULTI.TV. Whether you are sharing the YouTube links, liking, subscribing, ringing the bell, which I think is everything like that, we hugely appreciate. We are not going to. No, I refuse to tell people to smash the like button.
Strike the like button.
You may gently caress the like button. I think it's more appropriate. It's a like. It's not like it's a yeah button. You don't need to smash it. Just give it a nice stroke, the like button, and then do all the other things as well that you are supposed to do. And if you are in a position to financially contribute, which we appreciate, not everyone is, you can do so on our Patreon page. You can find all the details on our website, ULTI.TV. There is also a Patreon link in the YouTube video description as well, so you can click right through from there, and any support you can give, whether that be just a small contribution a month, or whether you want to go all the way up to being an ultimate producer like Patrick from Madx is, which however much you can contribute is greatly appreciated. Obviously, the more you contribute, you kind of get a few more perks to go along with it. But that is all greatly appreciated. And you should definitely keep your eyes tuned to our YouTube channel this evening, because we have something a little bit special coming up.
Yeah, so for the past couple of weeks, our team here has been putting together a documentary about the top club team in Italy and indeed in Europe, CUSB, La Fotta and Shout. So that's going to premiere tonight at 8 p.m. Local time. There should be a premiere already up on the channel, so you can set yourself a reminder and get a little notification on YouTube. But it's the story basically of how this club rose to become one of the best teams in Europe. And since they're going to be playing at the European Ultimate Club Championships just next weekend, definitely a chance to get clued up on their history and how they are so good. I
must say I'm very, very much looking forward to it. I was going to say the inimitable Stefan Rapazzo. He's not inimitable, he's actually very imitable, which is one of the great things about Steph. Hi Steph, if you're listening, we love you. But he's the host with the most in terms of the documentary, kind of talking through the story, talking to all the players involved, as you mentioned, from La Fotta, from Shout, from kind of some of the feeder teams, the junior teams as well.
Red Bulls,
what's gone into that kind of the culture that the club has created, bringing through the youth development, the academy. I must say that I am very excited to watch it. I know that Stefan and Milan and a lot of the ULTI.TV team have worked extremely hard on it, and I am very much looking forward to watching that as well as, and after that's done, we're going to be back here tomorrow morning.
9 a.m.
9:30.
9:30.
It weird because it feels like 9 a.m. is a traditional tournament start. Thankfully, the organisers of the WGGMBUCC have been very nice at giving. I know, right? Been very nice at given. It's a nice accommodating schedule, I think, for teams. 4 games a day, a nice break in the middle, so you don't have to go. You don't have to tune in really early to watch, or stay up past your bedtime. Depending on where you are, you might have to do that anyway. But it's a good schedule. The games we have for you tomorrow, Borderline will look to continue their winning run. They're on 9:30, another North American matchup, maybe a little bit of a derby game against the Tragic Hips from Canada. Next game after that, from 11 o'clock local time, is Gal versus Man Down, another US team that we haven't streamed yet. We saw Gal in the 3rd game of the day against Flash from the UK. The Young Legends make a reappearance on the stream against Borderline, getting a lot of action tomorrow, and then Gal are back in action the 4th game of the day at 5 o'clock. That previous game at 3:30 local time, as they take on America, who we saw in the 1st game today. And I think that wraps us up.
I think you've covered about everything.
Should we go and get a beer?
I would love to go and get a beer.
Excellent, because Milan's brought us some already, so we can start finally tucking in, because we would never do it on the job. Oh look, it looks like some other people at the tournament are doing the same as we are about to. It's nice to see them supporting the ICNOS flying disc, putting a little bit of money back into the local club scene. That's always good to see. Thank you very much for watching our coverage of the World Great Grandmasters Beach Ultimate Club Championships. God, that's a mouthful. Here on ULTI.TV's YouTube channel. A reminder that we are back at 9:30 tomorrow morning, and at 8 p.m. European time tonight. You can watch this story of CUSB, about their academy, about Shout, about La Fotta. I'm very much looking forward to that indeed. For Ali Thomas and for all of our team here today, for Rob, Chips, Felix and Milan, thank you very much for watching. I've been Benjamin Rees, and we will see you on the other side.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member
and
and fund our
work
work
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
ULTI.TV.